Today, I want to talk about something that has the power to completely transform your life. It's not luck, it's not money, and it's not some external circumstance. It's your mind. We often think the world around us controls us. Our jobs, our families, our situations. But the truth is, it's not the outside world that determines our future. It's how we think, how we respond, and how we choose to view our reality. Your thoughts shape your reality in more ways than we often realize. Every idea you have, every decision you make, and every direction you choose in life is first formed in the mind. The way you think determines how you interpret the world around you. Two people can face the same situation and have completely different experiences simply because of how they think. One may see a challenge as an opportunity, while the other may see it as a threat. This difference doesn't lie in the situation, it lies in the mind. Your internal dialogue, the constant stream of thoughts running through your head, forms the lens through which you see life. If you constantly tell yourself you're not good enough, that voice will begin to shape your actions. You'll avoid opportunities, you'll play small, and over time, you'll reinforce the belief that you're not capable. On the other hand, if you feed your mind with thoughts of possibility and belief, you begin to behave differently. You take chances, you persevere, and your life slowly starts to reflect those empowered thoughts. What we focus on grows. If you constantly dwell on what's wrong, what you lack, or what might go wrong, you're training your mind to expect negativity. That expectation becomes your reality because you start to act in alignment with it. But if you shift your focus to gratitude, growth, and potential, your reality also begins to change. You start to notice the good, attract opportunities, and feel a deeper sense of purpose and control. Thoughts don't just live in your head, they spill over into your actions, habits, relationships, and long-term outcomes. Positive thoughts can spark motivation, strengthen resilience, and improve your overall health. Negative thoughts left unchecked can lead to stress, indecision, and self-sabotage. This is why mastering your thoughts is one of the most powerful things you can do. Your life will follow the direction of your dominant thoughts. Changing your reality starts with becoming aware of what you're thinking. You can't fix what you don't see. Once you begin to understand your thought patterns, you can intentionally redirect them. It doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to respond from a place of strength and clarity. When you begin to think better, you begin to live better. And that is how your thoughts shape your reality. External situations don't define your future, because what truly shapes your life is how you choose to respond to those situations. Life is unpredictable, and challenges are inevitable. You cannot control everything that happens to you, whether it's a setback in your career, a personal loss, financial difficulties, or sudden changes in circumstances. But what you can control is your mindset, your attitude, and your decisions in the face of those challenges. That power is always within you. There are countless stories of people who came from difficult backgrounds or faced extreme adversity, yet went on to achieve extraordinary things. They didn't let their environment or past circumstances limit their potential. Instead, they used those difficulties as fuel to push forward. On the other hand, some people have every resource and opportunity available to them. But because of their mindset, they stay stuck or settle for less than they're capable of. This shows that the real difference lies not in the external, but in the internal. When you believe that your situation defines your future, you give away your power. You allow external forces to control your dreams, your direction, and your destiny. But when you take responsibility for your life, regardless of where you start, you begin to take back that power. You realize that your future is not written in your circumstances, it is written in your choices. Each day is an opportunity to grow, to make progress, and to shift the direction of your life. Even in the most difficult situations, there is always something you can control: your perspective, your effort, your attitude, and your next move. These choices, made consistently, shape the path you take. They influence who you become and what you achieve. External events might delay your progress or create obstacles, but they do not have the final say. You do. Every person has the capacity to rise above their situation. The key is not to wait for things to get easier or for luck to strike, but to decide that your circumstances will not be the limit of your life. When you believe in your ability to grow beyond what's around you, you begin to open doors that once seemed locked. The future is not something that happens to you. It's something you create no matter where you start. Awareness is the first step to control because you cannot change what you are not conscious of. Many people go through life on autopilot, reacting to situations, emotions, and thoughts without truly understanding where those reactions come from. They get caught in cycles of stress, frustration, or self-doubt without realizing that these patterns are driven by unconscious habits and thought processes. The moment you become truly aware, of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, you gain the power to choose a different response. Awareness brings clarity. It helps you recognize the stories you tell yourself, the fears you avoid, and the triggers that influence your behavior. Instead of reacting impulsively, you start to observe. You notice when you're being overly critical, when you're making excuses, or when you're acting from a place of fear instead of purpose. This observation doesn't mean judging yourself. It means paying attention with curiosity and honesty. With that understanding, you can begin to make conscious decisions rather than living by default. For example, if you're always feeling anxious in social situations, awareness allows you to notice the thoughts behind that anxiety. Maybe you're afraid of being judged or rejected. Once you see the root of the emotion, you can work on changing the belief that fuels it. Without awareness, you would simply avoid social situations, believing that's just who you are. With awareness, you realize it's a story you've been living in, and one you can rewrite. The more self-aware you become, the more in control you feel. Instead of letting your emotions control your actions, you learn to respond with intention. Instead of blaming others or external events, you take ownership of your experience. This doesn't mean you'll never feel overwhelmed or make mistakes. It means you'll catch yourself faster and adjust more effectively. Building awareness takes practice. It comes from slowing down, reflecting, and paying attention to your inner world. Through journaling, meditation, or simply checking in with yourself during the day, you start to develop a deeper understanding of how your mind works. That understanding becomes the foundation for growth. Control doesn't start with force or discipline. It starts with noticing. The more aware you are, the more power you have to change to grow, and to direct your life with purpose and confidence. Replacing negative thoughts with empowering ones is a powerful practice that can change the way you experience life. Our thoughts influence how we feel, how we act, and ultimately, what we believe is possible for us. When you constantly entertain negative thoughts, like "I'm not good enough," "I always fail," or "nothing ever works out for me," you begin to see the world through a lens of limitation and fear. These thoughts create mental barriers that hold you back from reaching your potential. The first step in replacing negative thoughts is to recognize them. Often, they run in the background of your mind, quietly shaping your choices and behaviors without you even realizing it. Once you begin to notice when these thoughts arise, you gain the power to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought really true? Where did it come from? What evidence do I have that supports or contradicts it? More often than not, you'll find that negative thoughts are rooted in fear, past experiences, or limiting beliefs, not facts. Once you become aware of a negative thought, the goal is not to suppress it or pretend it doesn't exist. Instead, acknowledge it and then choose to replace it with something more constructive. For example, if your mind says, "I'll never be successful," replace it with, "I'm capable of learning and improving every day." It doesn't have to be blind positivity. It just has to be a more helpful and truthful perspective. Over time, these small shifts rewire how you think, helping you develop a mindset based on growth and possibility. Empowering thoughts don't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. They mean choosing to focus on what you can do, who you can become, and what's possible even in the face of difficulty. This mindset fuels motivation, builds resilience, and helps you bounce back from setbacks. It gives you the courage to try, to fail, and to keep going. Replacing negative thoughts is a habit, and like any habit, it requires consistency. But each time you choose an empowering thought, you take back control of your mind. You stop being a prisoner of fear and become the creator of your reality. With time and effort, your inner dialogue becomes a source of strength rather than doubt, and that change in thinking transforms your life from the inside out. Mental discipline leads to transformation because it gives you the power to stay focused, make intentional choices, and take control of your actions regardless of how you feel in the moment. In a world full of distractions, temptations, and emotional ups and downs, it's easy to let your mind wander or to act based on impulse. But transformation, real, lasting change, doesn't happen by accident. It requires consistent effort, and that effort is fueled by discipline. Mental discipline means training your mind to follow through even when motivation is low. It's the ability to keep showing up for your goals when progress feels slow or uncomfortable. It's choosing to do what you know is right rather than what feels easy or familiar. Whether it's getting up early to work on your dream, staying calm in a stressful situation, or choosing healthy habits over instant gratification, mental discipline is what allows you to push through the resistance that often blocks growth. Transformation doesn't come from one big moment. It comes from the small, repeated decisions you make every day. Mental discipline helps you stay committed to those decisions. It helps you silence the inner voice that tells you to quit, to delay, or to settle. With discipline, you become someone who can trust themselves to follow through, and that self-trust becomes a foundation for deeper confidence and momentum. It's important to understand that discipline is not about being harsh or rigid with yourself. It's about creating structure and standards that support the life you want to build. It's choosing growth over comfort, progress over perfection, and purpose over excuses. The more you practice mental discipline, the more you start to see results. And those results reinforce your belief in yourself and your ability to change. People who transform their lives, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, or professionally, often credit their success not to talent or luck, but to their ability to stay focused and keep going. Especially when it's hard, that strength comes from mental discipline. It's not something you're born with, it's something you develop through practice, patience, and persistence. Over time, it becomes a part of who you are. And once you have that kind of mental strength, there's very little that can stop you from becoming the person you're meant to be. Control your mind, create your life. The idea is simple, but its impact is profound. Your mind is the command center of your life. Every belief, every decision, every habit begins with a single thought. If your thoughts are filled with doubt, fear, or negativity, your actions will reflect those patterns, and over time, your life will begin to mirror them. On the other hand, if you train your mind to focus on possibilities, solutions, and growth, you start to build a life that moves in a more positive, empowered direction. The truth is, most people don't control their minds control them. They react based on emotions, repeat the same limiting beliefs, and stay stuck in cycles that no longer serve them. They become victims of their own thoughts, not realizing they have the ability to take charge. But the moment you begin to observe your thoughts rather than being ruled by them, you reclaim your power. You realize you are not your thoughts, you are the thinker of your thoughts. That difference is everything. When you control your mind, you create space between stimulus and response. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond with clarity. You start to make decisions based on vision, not fear. You become more intentional with your time, energy, and focus. You stop wasting mental space on things you can't control and start investing it in building the life you truly want. This doesn't happen overnight. Mental control is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. It begins with awareness, recognizing the thoughts that don't align with the life you want, and then choosing to replace them with ones that do. It means setting boundaries around what you consume, who you surround yourself with, and how you speak to yourself. It means learning to manage stress, handle failure, and stay grounded through life's chaos. The greatest transformations don't start in the outside world, they begin in the mind. When you discipline your thoughts, strengthen your focus, and align your mindset with your goals, your life starts to change in ways that once seemed impossible. You begin to live with purpose instead of drifting through the motions. You start to feel in control instead of overwhelmed. And most importantly, you become the creator of your future, not just a bystander in your present. Control your mind and you truly can create your life.